evening, and welcome to another episode of Blood, Sweat, and Tears presented by the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. With us, as always, is wide receiver one room Zach Rom, Castle Black Brian Bruner, Mr. Oviedo here. Man, there is no greater theater than the National Football League. The highest of highs, the lowest of lows, like gut-wrenching performances. Like my team wasn't even in the playoffs, and I felt on the edge of my seat for nearly every single game. Not you, Steelers. Just like the raw emotion from Saturday afternoon to Monday night. Gosh, the football is just the most perfect sport there is.
Listen, if we're going to throw the Steelers under the bus like that, the fucking Chargers need to be there with them because that game was no fun to watch. New England.
Dishonorable mention.
Yeah. But other than those two games, the last two games were not fun, which we all kind of predicted, and the rest of them were exciting as fuck. Depressing if you're an Eagles fan, but
more depressing if you're a Packers fan.
Oh God, that was a shittier way to lose, man.
Yeah. No, I mean, even the boring games to watch were still close going three quarters through. There wasn't a blowout. It's like the Rams were favored by 10 points. Everyone expecting a blowout. Like, it was exciting football to watch, in the extent of it was close games. I mean, the Patriots, Chargers, Texans, Pittsburgh was very defensive. You had one team that couldn't move the ball, one team that couldn't hold the ball in both games. But it was still enjoyable for me, at least. I mean, granted, seeing Aaron Rodgers kind of fall apart was kind of nice. And then my Patriots winning was nice. So, I mean, that might just be for me. But, yeah.
I was impressed that Jawan Jennings threw a better pass than Aaron Rodgers did. It was
yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a great weekend, great way to start playoffs. I mean, 3 days straight of football, of good football. Can't ask for anything more.
And it's just so wide open. There's like anybody could win. I can't remember a year where I think it's with the Chiefs out, the Patriots out, the Eagles out, the 49ers weren't expected. I don't think a lot of people were thinking that they'd make it past the defending champs, but man, it's the most wide open year ever.
Well, except for the Panthers.
Oh,
sorry.
They gave him a hell of a run.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, I'll just leave it. Last statement on that Eagles game and mess. It was the only thing that was bothering me that I thought that would cost them the game was the lack of creativity on offense. I said it to the missus right before we sat down to watch the game. I was like, they're going to lose this game if they try that bullshit run twice for no yards and then throw a 4-yard slant over and over again. And after a couple creative plays in the first half and getting those 2 touchdowns to Goddard, it was absolute dog shit. It was just They were doing nothing creative and just preying on offense, and it was like a slow train wreck to watch. I was just watching their season end in slow motion for the entirety of the second half, and I mean it needed to happen. With the brand of offense they were playing, even if they advanced in that game, they were going to get fucking creamed in the second round. It is what it is. They got the stupid offensive coordinator fired. It's an exact mirror situation of right after they won their first Super Bowl and they let Shane Steichen walk, and they just said, let's just bring some guy in from in-house and we'll do the same thing. It did not work. It failed just as miserably this time. So my hope is we get some fresh blood in there. We get, who knows, maybe even a Mike McDaniel comes in to be the OC or something along those lines, or just somebody with some fucking creativity, because that was, for the talent on that side of the ball with Hurts and Slim and AJ and Saquon and Goddard, that was pathetic. And cheers to not the greatest season, but at least they made it back to the playoffs. A lot of Super Bowl teams just completely crash and burn and fail the following year. So I'll take it.
Yep. Where was the Philly special when you needed it?
Oh,
Hey,
far
tried it.
far too creative for this offense.
Yeah, Patriots tried it and failed miserably with
No,
it.
it wasn't that bad. It hit his fingertips.
Did it? I thought it sailed over him.
No, it was very, very close.
Fair enough. Okay, so this week we got three main things for you guys. Feel free, make comments, join us in, give us your thoughts on everything. First and foremost, we're talking playoffs. It's playoff season. We're going to give you our thoughts on deeper thoughts on kind of the wild card games and give you our score as to kind of who's won this number of games for predictions. We'll give you predictions for the divisional round. We have a blind wide receiver comparison for you this week. So kind of we ended last week with the wide receiver analysis. We'll kind of be doing a positional analysis. Wide receiver one room here. We'll be doing a lot of wide receivers. But I kind of have a blind comparison for you guys this week, diving into two wide receivers, interesting stat comparisons, how close they might be, and some interesting discussion. And we'll be ending with the next 4 weeks. We'll be going through a positional review of the four main fantasy positions of how they did last year. So for you this week, we have the top 20 tight ends on a point per game basis. So we can take out injuries and understand kind of how good some of these tight ends were going into next year that some people might have forgotten some of these tight ends that they actually were competing with the best of the best, and you might be able to get them cheap.
So it is forget.
Yeah. We'll be diving into all that for you today. So join us in, and any comments, thoughts, welcome any and all. And the first thing I noticed when I saw this, I'm like, hey, it's a 6 seed at the 1 seed and the 5 seed at the 2 seed in both divisions. Shocked me a little, but
man, the Panthers almost had it. I was like the only. They were a 10-point dog. I was
at home,
at home, and they had just beaten the Rams like 6 weeks ago. I felt like I was taking stupid pills. Like I went back and I looked at that game and I said, okay, maybe the interceptions that Stafford threw were fluky. They weren't that fluky. The Panthers controlled the ball for like 35 minutes compared to 25 minutes for the Rams, and the Panthers really put it to the Rams 6 weeks ago, and they almost did it again.
Yeah. I will say Puka did have some uncharacteristic drops and bad route runs, and so it was kind of a combination of I'm sure part of it was the Panthers really put the Rams off their game in that extent. But I mean, Puka was phenomenal throughout that entire game. He did miss a couple things for the sake of helping them not be as close as they won by 3 points. I think the first 4 games were decided by 4 points or less.
Yes.
So it was such a close game. It was closer than I gave you credit for. I think I said it was a blowout. I don't know if you said it was going to be a blowout, Brian, but I thought it was going to be a blowout in the Rams' favor.
I honestly forget if I said it would be a blowout. I don't think I would have said blowout. I probably said it was going to be a 1 score, 10 points, something like that. But I mean, good for them. They were at home. That means a lot, especially in the playoffs. The atmosphere there was definitely rocking. They were a packed house cheering their team on. Good for them. They haven't seen too much success. They came into the league in '96 or whatever that was. I know I was in high school. It was a cool starter jacket to buy.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I mean, it's good hope for the Panthers. I mean, they looked good fighting with the Rams. I mean, that's hope for their future. They have a very young team. They just got to figure out what they're doing with Bryce Young, if he actually is a good quarterback or not. I think he needs to figure that out too still. It's crazy to think he's going into his 3rd year and we're like, is he still there or what? But I mean, there's some hope for the Panthers, at least giving the Rams a good run for their money, I think.
It's definitely, arrows up for the Panthers. How can it be? I mean, they've doing such a bottom of the barrel organization, picking first overall last year or 2 years ago, or not first overall. I guess they made that trade to get one overall, but they've been a bottom NFL team. And Dave Canales, I like when he does the real Spanish pronunciation of his voice. Canales. He obviously knows what he's doing. He was really the spark behind bringing Baker's career back to life before he left Tampa, and they've brought in good pieces. They have a pretty solid defense. Tet is obviously a legit wide receiver in this league, and Bryce Young has only really improved after a really rough start. So yeah, good for them, man. I guess I've said it many times. There's really nobody I don't want to see do well for our fantasy football purposes. I just want high scoring, good offenses. Everybody just putting up 50-point over unders, and so good for them. I think a note on them is Rico is a unrestricted free agent. Yep. He's already said he wants to go somewhere where he can get a lot of the work. So I'm pretty sure we're looking at like a Chuba led with Jonathan Brooks and Trevor Etienne backfield next year.
Yeah, I mean, Etienne got some rushes in that game too, which was a little surprising.
Yeah. He had like 2 punt returns hit him right in the face. He cannot return kicks ever again.
He'll be part of the running back room next year, though, just out of necessity.
I was going to mention the Rico thing. Like they've pissed him off. He's gone. Yeah. Chuba is solid, but not great. He's missed a good deal of time with injury. I don't know. This feels like maybe a one and done run. The Panthers have to nail this upcoming draft and keep that momentum going. Jalen Coker's awesome. He might be the steal of next year's drafts. He's fantastic, and I hope he continues to like flex at worst start for 2026.
Well, for the 4 games he's going to play, he's definitely worth starting.
8.
Yeah. As Jay commented, Bryce is heading into his 4th year, so we had 3 years of him. And he said, thankfully, the 5th year is cheap. And it sounds like I don't think the Panthers have officially said they're taking that 4th year. The deadline's not here yet, but it sounds like they're likely to. So it's likely that Young is there for another 2 years. If they can get a little more, I think he needs a little more offensive weapons. Ted McMillan, I think, put up a top 15 wide receiver performance on the year. If not, definitely top 20 in PPR. So we're looking at get him a couple more weapons that he can throw to, and that might help him out a lot. I mean, it's similar to Cam Ward, where before McMillan, he really had no one to throw to. So they have a good foundation. I'm very intrigued to see how and what they do this offseason and this year.
Yeah, I think Tet, I was looking the other day just out of curiosity. I think he ended up with stat line of 70 catches, just over 1,000, 1,006 yards or something like that. And I'm not sure how many touchdowns, maybe 6, 7, which I could definitely check if he was on the season, points per game and overall. But yeah, definitely you can't help but to be encouraged, and he's obviously going to be their main pass catcher going forward.
Yeah, that's pretty spot on. 70 for 1,014 yards, 7 touchdowns. Just on a overall, it's PPR. He was wide receiver 16. I'm sure points per game wise, that's going to be a little lower. Probably around that 18 to 20 mark. Just drop him a couple based upon some of the other wide receivers that were injured. But it's a good foundation. And there's a couple wide receivers I'd be ecstatic to see go to Carolina in this draft, upcoming draft too.
Drops him all the way down to 25th on the year in points per game.
Oh, okay. Farther than I thought, but still pretty good.
Now, again, we have some players ahead of him in points per game that certainly didn't even come close to playing full seasons. You've got Rashee Rice, who was only there for half-ish, a little over half of the season. You have London, who missed a decent amount of games. You have, let's see who else here. Malik Neighbors is technically ahead of him in points per game. Obviously, Neighbors didn't Garrett Wilson's ahead of him in points per game. Obviously, Wilson wasn't around. Tyreek Hill. So you take out dudes like that, you bump him up a few. He's probably call him like 20, 22, 21 on the year, really, in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
And good Lord, the fourth quarter of Rams Bears is going to be the highest scoring quarter in NFL history. It could be 7-7 entering the fourth, and it ends up 56-51. It's yeah. Get your Underdog app open and be ready to just fire off all of the in-game and smash the over. I can't wait.
Probably my best call out of all the predictions was that no matter what's going on, that game, the Bears will be behind late in the fourth quarter, and they will come back.
That was that was such a fun game. Let's jump to that game. Let's talk Packers-Bears. I think that was, granted, again, I live in Bear country, but I think that was probably the most exciting game on the weekend.
I could not believe the Bears came
going in 21-3, going into the fourth, 21-3 at half, 21-6 going into the fourth quarter. Like, I'm always the realistic with the Bears fan, and my wife was like, "Okay, Zach, like, what's happening? What's going to go on?" I'm like, "Okay, start of the third quarter, they need 2 3-and-outs and a turnover. I want you to know there's a 3-and-out, and then there's a fumble that the Bears players try and jump on that goes out of bounds." I'm like, so close to that. But it was – I don't think the Bears can continue to do this, obviously. Somehow they still are. But, like, again, they don't know how to play football for 3 quarters, and then they make the right adjustments, and all of a sudden everything clicks in the fourth quarter. But, you're looking at it. Odunze was coming back from the first game in 6-7 weeks. Burden seemed to be off track some. He dropped a ball or two, I think. DJ Moore had a couple big plays too. Loveland is looking to come up top 5 tight ends right now, I would say. Like, he is just so good. Like, for the longest part of the season, thinking the Bears really spent the 10th overall pick on him, but he had an injury in the offseason, surgery. He was slowly coming back, and now he's almost their number 1 receiving threat right now, with DJ Moore taking a step back and Odunze not doing as well. Like, their rushing games still looked good. Like, if they can actually play, 2.5 quarters of football, imagine what they could do. Nevertheless, just, one quarter of football. But I am afraid for the game against the Rams is the Bears secondary is struggling hard. And that is prime for Puka to get 200 receiving yards. And I could see that happening.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, though, I don't think Love was the problem for the Packers. They slowed down in that second half, and I think it's the receivers. When you looked at it, the receivers weren't making the plays they were in the first half. They seemed a little slower. They weren't getting the separation. They weren't catching the ball or reaching out for it. Like, it seemed like the receivers just ran out of steam. Like, if you go back and look at the replays, like, he couldn't do much. And it wasn't Love that was struggling. I truly think it was the receivers. Just they have a ton of wide receiver 2 to 3s and no wheel wide receiver 1. And they need to find someone that can come ahead of the pack, take over and take over late. And none of their guys really was able to do that. And I think that's where the Packers struggled, is they couldn't really pass the ball because the wide receivers weren't doing anything. And the Bears slowly got momentum. Granted, if this was at Green Bay, the game would have been over at half. But being home definitely helped the Bears.
Something else that could have helped is if Josh Jacobs had a better stat line than 19 carries for 55 yards.
Oof.
Yeah, 19 for 55. So they were much of a threat to run the ball. Josh Jacobs was not the same football player from like
No.
4 weeks ago on. He killed you. It's unfortunate as hell too because he did so well all season. Even with the struggles at the end, he ended up as like the running back 10 on points per game, got like a 17, 18 point average. So he was wonderful. Carried you through the first, 2/3, 3/4 of the regular fantasy season, but he obviously just wasn't right. He at least was able to get the ball, carry it 19 times this week. He wasn't even able to do that for a few weeks. It just obviously wasn't himself. He's technically not really at that age cliff. He's 20. He'll be 28 next year, which isn't like ancient for a running back, but he was one of those super young rookies. So he's been getting a fuck ton of work on him and miles on the tires for a lot of years now. It'll be his 8th season next year. So he very well could just be having the football gods just catch up to him and slow him down. I believe he's still under contract. He'll still be the running back 1 there next year. So I assume he'll be a third-ish round third-ish round draft pick. We shall see though. Just unfortunate. I think Josh Jacobs is a very good player, and it's sad to see somebody have that rough of an end of the season.
Yeah, I was going to come and defend Romeo Dobbs. I'm the Romeo Dobbs truther. Been a fan since day one. Had an awesome monster game. He's very clutch, but he vanishes in like 3/4 of the regular season games. And Zach said it in his hot take preview, I believe it was. He predicted that the Patriots wide receivers would outscore the Packers. I don't know if I had that backwards, but both teams don't have to live that way. They like almost draw names out of a hat each week to be like, who's going to be the number 1 target? We could just target everybody evenly. We could have like a consistent game plan. No, it is fantasy whack-a-mole. You don't know if it's Watson, Dobbs, Reed. Reed had his weekly 4 for 40, saved it with a touchdown. But if they just had like a more consistent established flow to the receivers, it just seems like even the receivers themselves aren't like, the confidence may not be there because they're not getting the volume that they should week in, week out. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, that's definitely a part of it. I mean, the good news for the Packers wide receiver core is Matthew Golden finally had his first touchdown of the season. It's crazy to think. First round wide receiver, first touchdown is in the playoff game. But, I mean, he had a good game. Dobbs had a great game. But, yeah, I mean, it was all the first half, which is, again, crazy to think. But it was, yeah, I mean, it was such a fun game to watch. Just seeing them come back. Packers still had a chance to make it in the end. Love fumbles the snap. Is able to get it back, throwing it. Like, it was entertaining to the very, very end. It was one of the better playoff games I remember watching in recent years. Like, it was great for anyone, who didn't fall asleep at halftime because they thought the Packers had the game in the bag. Because I know that happened to some people.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on your Eagles, Brian?
I mean, I'd said pretty much everything I had to say. Probably the biggest thing to look out for, the 2 biggest things to look out for this offseason are, do they trade A.J. Brown? With his contract, there's zero way to like cut him or whatever. It's a huge dead cap hit, so it would have to be a trade. I know there's already been plenty of rumors that he goes to the Bills or maybe goes to the Patriots or something along those lines, but it would definitely have to be a trade, and I don't think that the Eagles, with how well they run the organization, are just going to take some shitty small peanuts deal for him.
No.
So that's a huge thing to keep an eye out on because the Eagles are going to be a drastically different team with or without A.J. Brown, at least on offense. And then secondly, who do they bring in as the OC?
Yeah.
Is it what coaching tree is he from? What kind of scheme is he going to run? Because anything's going to be better than this horse shit that they rolled out this year.
It was bad. I mean, I was looking at it. The last 3 drives had 21 plays, and AJ Brown had 0 targets in your last 3 drives of the game. Like, you can't do that. Granted, Goddard was doing well. Slim had some great catches, but you can't just game plan AJ Brown out of the game for the last, I think it was a quarter and a half or a little over a quarter of the game. You just can't.
Yep, it was a mess. And then we didn't really say anything about the 49ers. George Kittle is 32 years old and tore his Achilles in January, so that's not ideal.
No.
Who knows what that says for his future? I mean, he could end up doing some stuff in my other favorite sport, the WWE, because he's a huge fanboy there. He's always at the pay-per-views, and I think he's even gotten like a ring and like his life before. So that could very well be his future. But the only thing I will say is Achilles, they seem to have gotten so much more efficient with making them work and players coming back. Yeah. It used to be a complete death sentence that it didn't even matter if you were a young player. If you tore your Achilles, you were over. And now you got dudes like J.K. Dobbins. Off the top of my head, there's been multiple of those that have come back and been productive. So who knows? Kittle obviously has a great work ethic. He's a super athlete. So I'd be more surprised if he actually did retire from this than if he, came back. So we'll see. He'd clearly be like a pup situation.
Oh yeah.
Jake Tonjes is I don't know if he's a restricted or a full free agent, but you got to believe they would either sign him to a 1-year deal or bring in a mid-level free agent tight end like a Tyler Higbee or something along those lines to fill that role if Kittle isn't healthy.
There's a lot of good tight ends coming up in this class too. So there's a potential they draft someone too to kind of learn under Kittle and kind of take over until he comes back and flip-flop a little.
That tight end becomes a rocket ship emoji, almost like a redraft tight end, because if Jake Tonjes can do it, yeah, any highly drafted rookie is going to be a stud.
Yeah. I mean, it's some voodoo magic that Christian McCaffrey is doing, that he just is stealing everyone else's health, and he somehow remains uninjured, and he's out there carrying the 49ers. Like, once Kittle goes down, all you have to do is tell 2 defenders saying, I don't care whatever else happens, do not take your eyes off McCaffrey, and just play a 9-on-10 and tell the 49ers, hey, have your crappy wide receivers beat us 9-on-10. And these 2 guys are always just going to be tailing McCaffrey, and we're good. And I mean, McCaffrey's 2 touchdowns came after Kittle was injured on the trick play where you just let McCaffrey run up the side. And I think he had a crosser touchdown too. Like, you have to, it wasn't a great defensive game plan. Or a defensive adjustment in game. When you see Kittle go down, you just all forces on McCaffrey, but it's going to be very interesting against that Seattle defense. That's going to be a great rematch for sure.
Just some extra salt in the wound for that Eagles-Niners game. I did throw a parlay out there where I even put Christian McCaffrey for 2 touchdowns to give it some real good juice. And sure enough, that happened. And the only part of that parlay that bit me in the ass was I did Juwan Jennings for 3 catches. And he caught 1 for 45 yards. He also threw a touchdown, but Juwan Jennings couldn't get me fucking 3 catches even with George Kittle going out in the first fucking quarter. So he even lost a nice money parlay that should have cashed in that same game.
Yep. Let's see. AFC. Well, going through the NFC real quick. We all picked the Bears to win. We all picked the Eagles, so we're all 1-1. Patrick picked the Panthers. We picked the Rams. So Brian and I are 2-1. Patrick's 1-2 on predictions. We'll kind of keep this through all of it, as we'll see coming forward. I think Brian takes the lead here. We'll start with the kind of earlier game, which is the bottom, Chargers-Patriots. My Patriots pulled it off, despite me being the only one to say that the Chargers are going to win. I underestimated how bad that the Chargers O-line was. I mean, when you look at the graphic of PFF ranked O-linemen and it was the last, second to last, and then like fifth to last, you're like, oh. And Herbert looked like he was dying from all the hits he was taking. There's no other way to put it. Granted, Drake May also decided he just didn't want to hold on to the ball. So it was a very, very defensive game because the Patriots couldn't, kept turning it over, and the Chargers just couldn't do anything because Herbert was on death row. But the good news for the Chargers is their offensive coordinator and O-line coach got fired. I mean, I think many people were expecting a lot from the Chargers offense with the Hampton, Trey Harris being your first two picks. You had Matt McConkey, who really turned out. You had Justin Herbert. Like, granted, they had some O-line injuries. They had a lot of O-line injuries. But the offense just wasn't creative. It wasn't doing well. It wasn't consistent. So I have high hopes for those next year, assuming that they can get some good players in or good coaching in. But in the good news, once Drake May got those first half jitters out, he looked pretty good. Outside of the fumble, the fumble late, the guys, he dodged a guy swiping at the ball in front of him, then decided, oh, I'm going to bring the ball back up right where his hand was to try and throw it, and got stripped. But, it was a very defensive game, very boring to watch if you weren't invested in the teams themselves. But the Patriots moved on, and I'm happy.
That was my whole entire take of why they were going to win, was that they basically had a wet store brand napkin playing fucking right guard for them. Like, there's just, you can't win against a good team when you don't have an offensive line. It just doesn't fucking work. These are trained killers on the defensive line that are coming through, and your practice squad and Canadian Football League offensive linemen can't block them. So better things ahead for the Chargers. All the different pods that I'd listened to, everybody's saying the same thing. The Chargers are going to be the most hyped up. We're getting them next year. Alt's back, Slater's back, got a year under his belt, Lad McConkey, bounce back player, Herbert, top 6, 7. It's just going to be all that all off season. And the Chargers just seem to be one of those teams that if the Browns didn't exist and their shit luck, I feel like the Chargers have just shittest luck of all the teams.
Yeah.
All the way back to like my childhood. And like they only went to that one Super Bowl in like 94 or whatever year that was, and Steve Young threw fucking 6 touchdown passes on him and just played him off the field. And ever since then, they either don't make the playoffs due to a series of injuries, or they make the playoffs and get blown out. What stat did I just hear, man? Justin Herbert hasn't thrown more than like 25 or 26 touchdowns since 2001. So he just hasn't been getting it done since that big like quarterback he had. But yeah, man, they're just going to be gassed up all fucking year, all off season. Just the hype. The tackles are back because the offensive line was the problem. So they're going to have a healthy O-line and they're going to be unstoppable. But I'd bet on them having shit luck again next year somehow.
Yeah, I hope Justin Herbert gets to spend the entire offseason in a full body cast because he probably needs it. I think everything's hurt, bruised, or broken. I don't know how the Chargers can move the staff around. Do they get both Harbaughs? Can both Harbaughs exist? Oh my Lord. That has a second round exit written all over it. It'd be fun to watch though.
It'd be very interesting, but I don't see it happening.
Yeah, the Chargers, they've had Drew Brees, they've had Rivers, they've had Tomlinson, they've had Gates, they've had all of these incredible talents. They had a year where their offense finished first and their defense finished first in the NFL, and they missed the playoffs. Like Brian said, like bottom 3 luck in the NFL: Browns, Lions, Chargers, hands down.
Did you say that Greg Roman got fired? I didn't get to hear that over the
He
the
is
last
done.
day or two of news. I haven't been deep diving, working a bunch the last couple of days. But yeah, who knows? He's probably a guy that ends up getting hired somewhere. He seems to have
Yeah.
a bit of a legacy. He'll get brought in somewhere. I don't know if I want him to come to the Eagles, but
Twist ending. It's not good.
yeah,
No, he got fired earlier today.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Bills
then,
Jags of a game. That was the second best game of the weekend.
Oh yeah, great game. It
Good
was,
for Josh. Fucking A. He win on the road. It was his first road playoff win. And he, it took a lot from him. He was, he made that shit happen. I do feel bad for the Jags, but did you guys see? It was really fucking heartwarming. Some female reporter at the post-game press conference with Liam Cohen was like, "Hey, I just want to, say congratulations on a hell of a season. You did a great job, and we're happy to have you, and we're looking forward to, more years of success." It was like the most heartwarming thing I've ever seen in like a post-game NFL conference or press conference. It was really good. I was like borderline choked up. I was like, "Wow, that's
Cohen was crying. He
of course,
he
yeah,
was holding back the tears.
yeah, dude. Good for them. I mean, good for that organization. And like I said, over and over again, I want to see fucking teams succeed, and they looked. What a turnaround for them. I mean, they between the defense and the offense, and who's that dumbass coordinator that they clearly phased out and let Liam Cohen.
Waldron.
Yeah, Waldron. They clearly started letting Liam Cohen call the shots on offense because that did like a complete 180. The Parker Washington show continues. My God, what do you have? 7 for 100 and a touchdown or whatever? Just amazing. I mean, that dude was absolutely nuclear to end the season. So I think it's looking more and more like Travis Hunter plays DB next season, and we're looking at Jacoby, Parker Washington. BTJ's a wild card. He could very well be a trade candidate. I think that's the hinge point for Travis Hunter being something next year. Is if they do flip BTJ, they can get like a first for him or some type of package, a second, a player, and they move on from BTJ. Hunter has a shot. If they have all of them next year, I can't imagine much of a offensive future for Hunter, at least for 26.
Yeah, Washington missed like almost a quarter. He went in early with a concussion protocol and came back and still kicked ass.
And just cooked, man. Him and Lawrence clearly have a fucking vibe. Like they're hanging out after work.
Yeah, sure seems it. And if the Jaguars trade BTJ, I think that to me gives very similar vibes to the Titans trading AJ Brown, where you trade him and he just goes off. I think we'll get into him in this offseason. I'll do a deeper wide receiver analysis. We covered him a little last week. But we'll he seems primed for a third-year breakout. I say third year because he had a very, very bad year in this extent, but it's going to be very interesting. You love to see the offense for the Jaguars because they have so many options with Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr. You just signed Jacoby Myers. Travis Hunter can play both ways. You have so many options for the Jaguars for the future that, sure, you lost on the road or at home to the Bills, but let's be honest. The Bills went into this game as the only road team that I don't want to say the only road team, but like they went in where it is season failure losing away at the Jaguars. Like they since the very beginning, when you look at all the Super Bowl hopeful teams at the beginning of this year, the highest one remaining out of everyone would be Eagles and Bills that entered into Wildcard weekend. So there was so much pressure on the Bills, and they lived up to it. Josh Allen had a great game. It was a very pass-heavy game from them. But it was a nail biter. It was well played.
A sentence I never, ever thought I'd say would be, the Jaguars and Texans next year is going to be 2 phenomenal matchups. Oh my God, those teams look amazing. that the Jags and Texans defense is ferocious, and that's 4 automatic losses for the Colts, unfortunately.
So I don't want to assume for you guys, but I would assume you'd agree with me on this. Obviously, every game is a fucking must-win for the playoffs. But for the Buffalo Bills, for Josh Allen's legacy and for Sean McDermott's job, that was the most must-win game of this weekend. The Bills had to fucking win that game. All these other organizations, life will go on, whatever. The Bills had to fucking win that game.
Yes, for sure.
That was something I thought about bringing up, like the term legacy. You have Rodgers may have played his last game. Rodgers only made 1 Super Bowl. You've got the greats have made multiple Super Bowls. Montana, Brady, Mahomes, Manning. What does it say for the legacy if Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson don't even make 1 Super Bowl? Like, it has to tarnish their image a little bit, like, to not make 1 Super Bowl. That's unbelievable. It just goes to show you how friggin' hard it is.
I mean, to me, they would both just immediately fall into that Dan Marino category. You know, sorry for our younger viewers. Dan Marino was a very good quarterback for the Miami Dolphins in the 80s and 90s, and won an MVP and held the passing yardage record on the season career for a long time. And he went to 1 Super Bowl, I believe his second year in the NFL, lost it, never went to another one, and forever has just been considered like the best quarterback to never win a Super Bowl. Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, especially if they both play some more productive years and never get there, would just immediately fall into that Dan Marino category for me.
Most definitely.
And you've got guys like Aikman and Roethlisberger have 3 each, if I'm not mistaken. 3 Super Bowl
Roethlisberger has 2,
wins.
I think.
Yeah, right. 2.
1 or 2.
Jim Kelly went to 4 straight Super Bowls and is almost completely forgotten. I can't imagine a world where Allen and Jackson are forgotten. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't really touch too much on the Steelers Texans, but Texans they got it done, man. It was all their defense, really.
100%.
Nico was concussed. Woody Marks actually looked okay. Woody Marks had a decent stat line. He had some big runs at some big spots. I don't think he actually left the game with injury for the first time ever. That was cool for Woody. Oh, did he?
Yeah, it was brief. Yeah, for a little bit.
He had to. It's in his contract.
He must have like a fan and a couple cool snacks in there, maybe his ear pods. So he'll just hang out like, yeah, guys, I'm hurt. Give me a rest.
Yeah, I mean, the only other thing I could think is, as a former cigarette smoker, maybe he's a cigarette smoker. Maybe he's I got a guys, I need 10, and goes and fucking rips a Newport in the bathroom and comes back and he's ready to party.
He rips the filter off.
Yeah, he does. Just fucking straight to the dome. But yeah, we'll see what happens with the Texans, man. With how good their defense is, anything can happen. I can see that Patriots game being very close. That's a much better defense than they played last week with the Chargers. So we'll see. I'll still lean. Well, I guess we'll do our picks momentarily, but I'd still leave the lead on the Patriots side, just given the home field. And it's funny to say this, but with how well Ramondre Stevenson is playing, that offense is Ramondre is a man possessed.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, with the Steelers Texans, the game was 30-6, but it was not out of reach. With 12 minutes left in the fourth, it was still 10-6.
Yeah,
and then they got a touchdown off a fumble return touchdown.
Yep.
And then there's another touchdown late by Woody Marks, and then there's a pick 6 by Aaron Rodgers. Like, the game was close. Even with 5 minutes left, the Steelers were driving, trying to tie it and get back in. So 30-6 does not the score does not do justice to how the game was. And it was a very, very defensive game for sure. Stroud had 5 fumbles.
Oh, I thought it was 3.
He lost
3.
Lost 2, recovered 3, and he had an interception. So he had 3 turnovers with 5 fumbles, a couple on the snaps, a couple strip sacks. Like, their offense just couldn't get going because of that. On the flip side, Christian Kirk, 144 yards and a touchdown. He just had a resurgence.
Yeah.
After Nico Collins was out, Christian Kirk was like, give me the ball. And everyone, the announcer was saying it's going to be Jaden Higgins. I was like, Kirk is stepping up here. He looked great.
This time of the year, as the resident fucking dynasty maniac, I'm just going, great. That's one less easy cut for me. How can you cut Christian Kirk now after he just did that and help them get the win? I mean, even if he doesn't stay on the I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but even if he doesn't stay on the Texans, like some other team just saw that. They're bringing him the fuck in. I mean, that was really impressive. He had that super nice diving, like 40-yard catch super early in the game. I was like, who is that? I thought it was Noel because he was like a little bit smaller of a guy, but no, man, Christian Kirk. He was making it happen in the clutch.
Yeah, that is a crowded room. You got Collins, Higgins, Noel, Kirk, Xavier Hutchinson.
He's involved.
Good enough. And they have the ghost of Tank Dell, who I think is irrelevant. What if Tank Dell's not done? Like that's
and I mean Dalton Schultz is involved. He's a part of their offense, so he's getting targets and catches too.
I'm staying away from that wide receiver room.
It's messy.
Yep. Christian Kirk is a free agent this offseason. So
okay.
It's going to be interesting to see if he goes somewhere. That's the end of his 4th year on his big deal with the Jaguars. But that's another similar to the Jaguars where the Texans have just a great wide receiver room, some potential coming up. Granted, I don't have much hope for Noel outside of wide receiver 3, but still, like, even if he goes, you still have Nico, you have Higgins. You got some strength there. And I think, so for a recap then, predictions. Sitting on Patrick and I are sitting at 4-2 on predictions in the extent of I picked the Chargers and lost that one, and we all picked the Jaguars and we lost that. So that's 4-2 for me, Patrick being 4-2 of picking the Jaguars and the Panthers. Brian is sitting atop the leaderboard here at 5-1, only losing the Jaguars.
Big dog.
Into the
I picked the Eagles. I picked the Eagles.
Oh, we all did. Sorry. So
Yeah.
that's 3-3 and then 4-2. Either way, you're still one ahead of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. 3-3, 4-2. Unfortunate, but is how it is. I mean, very injured 49ers and then some other hot takes and the Bills coming back. But let's start top left, kind of give quick thoughts and playoff predictions, starting with the 49ers and Seahawks.
Pretty easy Seahawks for me, just because the environment there, the defense. The 49ers should just thank God that Kevin Patullo exists, or that game would have been a win for the Eagles. I don't think the Niners. Oh yeah, by the way, they don't have George Kittle. I don't think he's coming back from his torn Achilles in 6 days. So fucking they're gonna get routed. If the Niners win, it'll be considered one of the biggest playoff upsets in the last 20 years.
Oh man, I mean they don't have Kittle, but the tight end factory, they just took another brand new George Kittle out of the package and they put Tongas back in there and he played just as well. And this team doesn't miss a beat. And they're gritty. They've been there before. Shanahan's so good. It feels like it's time for Darnold to crumble, even at home. It'll be close. Like 3 to 4 point. I'll take the Seahawks, but maybe even like a overtime, like a walk-off field goal or something.
So there are 2 regular season games. I don't think any team scored over 20 points in their 2 regular season matchups. I think it was like 17-14 and then 13-3. It was very low scoring, very defensive, very heavy.
Boring.
So I would expect a very similar game in that extent. My gut's saying go 49ers. Only if Christian McCaffrey stays healthy. If he gets injured in the first quarter, second quarter, I mean,
You can't
screwed.
put that. You can't put that out there.
No,
He's been healthy all year.
Yeah,
He
he
will just siphon the Achilles off of Jawan Jennings and then stay on the field.
There you go. I think playmaker wise, in a slow grinding game, defensive game, I'm gonna give the edge to CMC over JSN. And I mean, you're talking about a third matchup in a divisional game. 49ers just beat the defending champs. I came in thinking I'm going to pick Seattle, and just us talking about it has me saying I don't think Seattle can keep Christian McCaffrey in check 2 games in a row, because the last time they played, Seattle kept Christian McCaffrey, I think, to under 60 scrimmage yards, and that's not going to happen again. I think he's going to go off. I think he's going to have a couple big runs that going to control the game. It's going to be close. Again, I think lower scoring, but I'm going to call the upset here. Give me 49ers.
The biggest thing for me is the home field, because we all know that the man is fucking mega. And the main thing, even over top of that, is the Seahawks were the number 1 fucking defense in football this year. They allowed the fewest points per game. They, week after week after week, dominated the fantasy players that we wanted to have good games against them. They now can focus even more on Christian McCaffrey with no Kittle there. I said Seahawks. I don't necessarily think it'll be a blowout, but I would be color me fucking shocked if the Kittle-less 49ers go into that stadium against the number 1 scoring defense in football and win.
Yeah, I was right. It was 17-13 and then 13-3 for their 2 games matchups this season. It was bookends. 49ers won 13-3 to start the season and lost 17-3.
Yeah. The one that just
in the trenches.
Yeah, the one that just happened like 2 or 3 weeks ago was the Seahawks winning 17-3, right?
17-13, yeah.
And Sam Darnold did nothing. Like, they shut him down, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
It was, he did 150 yards, and that was about it. It was a Charbonnet touchdown and some defense.
And was that one in Seattle or San Fran?
In Seattle.
In Seattle.
In Seattle.
Yep, that was in Seattle.
I see something similar happening, maybe a little bit bigger of a win margin for the Seahawks.
Yeah.
But, the NFL playoffs, crazy shit happens.
Yep. Rams Bears. We talked about this being a high scoring game, probably looking at it with all the others being super defensive. It's hard to say Rams Bears is not going to be the high scoring game of this divisional round.
After watching what I've watched from the Bears all year, I will say exactly what happened last week. The Rams will go up late to, if not very late in the fourth quarter, and the Bears will come back on some crazy fucking 4th down touchdown or something like that. Give me the Bears at home. They have magic strapped to their back this year. The Ben Johnson effect really. They took hold of it. They ran with it. Caleb, I saw an interview with Caleb Williams where he was almost in tears talking about how much Ben Johnson means to him and how much he changed his career and changed the whole outlook of the team. And I mean, they're on fire, man. They have talk about weapons.
Yeah.
They have all the offensive ways to get it done. Try to shut down one running back, they got another one. Try to shut down this receiver, they got three more. Try to shut down all the receivers, they've got Loveland. They've really the smartest thing the Bears did was, other than bring Ben Johnson in, was to really bring in veteran studs on the offensive line. They went from having one of the worst offensive lines in football to one of the best. Yeah. So they did it right, and the Rams are certainly a formidable opponent. I think it'll be a very close game. I think it'll be heartbreak for the Rams at the end, but why not just keep riding this incredible, crazy last-minute win run? They've been doing it all fucking year.
Yeah. We have a comment, Kevin, saying he doesn't see this being a high-scoring game because the Bears don't start playing until 5 or 6 minutes left. But
they'll score 28 points.
Well, I think the Bears will get probably 13 points come halfway through the third quarter. I think a touchdown and 2 field goals is probably accurate, whereas the Rams will probably be closer to the mid-20s. But I think, again, the Bears will turn on in the fourth quarter. I'm going to say Puka goes for over 200 receiving yards, but the Bears still win, because I think he's going to rip like 2 or 3 40-plus yards and just get a lot of dink and dunks from there. They're going to have some problems there. They had a couple injuries this last game too. But I think the Bears offense will start a little faster. It'll stall a little mid-game, and they'll turn on the fourth quarter. And there was this one other stat I saw. Matt Stafford going to cold weather games, especially with snow and rain under 40 degrees, has a record of 1-8. He does not do well in cold weather games. Another reason he probably wanted to leave Detroit. Granted, they had a dome, but in games with snow and rain and in under 40 degrees, he does not do well, and that is what is lined up for this week too. That I think Stafford. It's weird to say Stafford is going to struggle some, but Puka is going to have a big game. I think that's going to happen in the extent of enough to keep the Bears close enough in the game that while the Rams are better than the Packers, the Bears will still be able to pull it out.
That was going to be a talking point of mine. I'm like, it's going to be fucking freezing in Chicago. Stafford has played in Green Bay and in Chicago. Devontae Adams has played outdoors. Nakua went to BYU in Washington. He's played in some cold weather. Kyron Williams went to Notre Dame. He's played in some cold weather. The elements may not affect the Rams as much as other teams that play indoors or in warm weather all the time. They've got some warriors, but if Stafford's 1-8, oh man, it's gonna be a great game.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's a difference between like recently playing in the cold and like 5-6 years playing it, first playing in LA. But
cold's always the same. Cold is cold. I live in Orlando. I know what the cold is.
Kevin, another great comment for thinking he's thinking the Bears' luck is going to run out. The Bears and Packers had played for 185 minutes this season. So 185 minutes are the combined total that the Packers and Bears have played over the 3 games this season. Can you guys guess how many minutes or how long the Bears have held a lead against the Packers, knowing the Bears went 2-1 against the Packers?
Can you put Kevin's comment up on the screen? I like that. As someone who likes commenting on podcasts, I like seeing my shit come up on the screen.
Packers have played for 185 minutes this year, and the Bears only led for 1 minute and 47 seconds and have gone 2-1 against the Packers.
Just when you take the Bears 2025 season, get that manila envelope of it and stuff everything in there, this just fits right in. It's just perfect.
Yep. Yeah. He's thinking that their luck's about to run out.
And very well good.
Yeah. So let's see. I picked the Bears. Brian picked the Bears. Sorry, did you make your pick, Patrick?
Bears.
Bears.
And what was the first game? I did go Seahawks. Did you guys take the Niners?
He took Seahawks. I took the Niners.
Okay.
Bills Broncos. Oh,
tough, man. Tough. And again, out of all the games, I feel like it's the most must win for the Bills. I guess you could probably make that argument for the Seahawks a little bit for like their coach and their quarterback, but I still think it's the most on Josh Allen and McDermott.
Yep.
But the Broncos are a fucking 1 seed for a reason, man. They're going into Mile High. Broncos have an excellent defense, well rested. I'm not going to give it that much thought, but I'm just going to take the Bills. I think it's just it's their destiny to win this game and keep it rolling. It's the one I'm the least confident about of all my picks, but I'm going to take Josh Allen. I'm going to just think he's just going to go Superman again.
Yeah, this is, I think out of everyone, I think this is the toughest to kind of say who has the edge, because part of it might just be, when you're thinking Broncos, you're thinking, oh, they're not a great team, but they're the 1 seed for a reason. But also, like, when you look at their offense, it's still up and coming, but they didn't have amazing offensive talent. I mean, RJ Harvey's really coming on, but their wide receivers outside of Sutton is hit or miss. Nix looks great, but also like
he can also look terrible.
Yeah, he's very hit or miss, but also the Bills wide receivers are very hit or miss. They did well this last week, but usually it's them rushing. This is
rough.
Yeah, this is very rough. I keep flip-flopping. Patrick, I'm gonna let you go first, and then I'll figure out which one I'm going.
I think this is when the house of cards Bills fall. The Jaguars just didn't win last week. They that untimely interception doomed them. The Bills run defense is not good, and Josh Allen went through absolute hell last week, almost as much hell as Justin Herbert went through. I mean, Allen looked concussed. It looked like he hurt his hand. It looked like he tore his ACL. And the Broncos defense is a little bit better than the Jaguars. Like, Allen is going to get blasted numerous times. The Bills are on the road again, although it's not that different of an environment. It's probably a lot warmer in Denver than it is in Orchard Park. The Broncos only have to shut down Shakir, really. Shakir had a monster game against a very good defense, but RJ Harvey and Nick should run all over the Bills' run defense. Outside of James Cook and Shakir, the Bills need to find something else. Oh, my bad. Brandon Cooks looks 15 years younger. Damn it, Brandon Cooks. So
making shit happen.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Like, every team that Cooks has been on is probably like, are you shitting me? Come on.
That's quite a few teams you're talking about.
Yeah,
it's like half the league. Broncos by 7.
I was flip-flopping. I was initially thinking Bills, and I wanted to look at some defensive rankings real quick. And I think, the Bills have learned, while they did beat the Jaguars, the games where the Bills have really controlled the game, they've dominated, have been through rushing attack with James Cook. And the Broncos have allowed the second lowest rush yards per game, which I think means they're going to hold James Cook in check as much as one could, the rushing yard leader of the year. They're going to hold him in check enough that it's going to rely on Josh Allen throwing the ball, and I don't trust those wide receivers.
No more Gabe Dave. Pour one out for Gabe Dave. His career's over. His knee looked bad.
Yeah. Bad knee injury there. I think I'm going to go Broncos.
If the Buffalo Bills beat the Jaguars on the road, the Broncos on the road, and either the Texans or Patriots, it's the gutsiest, most hard-earned Super Bowl appearance I could ever remember. Kudos to them. They have earned it if they make it that far.
I mean, again, I'm not fucking confident. It's my least confident pick, but at the end of the day, the way that this league works, the way that I've been observing it over year after year after year after year, man, superstar players really get it done. And Josh Allen, I just think he's on a mission, man. This is his year. They don't even if they lose this game, they're going to be as equally shit on as if they lost the Jaguars game.
Yeah.
People are going to riot. They're going to want fucking McDermott's head. They're going to say they're going to call Josh Allen a choke artist. It's just going to be, I just think all of that. And I know the Broncos are good. They didn't just slide into the 1 seed by accident, but I don't think they're that good overall. I don't think anybody's losing sleep over the Broncos and RJ Harvey and Bo Nix and Cortland Sutton. Their defense is definitely good, but I'm taking the Bills, and this is going to be where I either storm into the lead against you guys in this playoff bracket or you catch up to me.
And I think that's part of what's leading me to pick the Broncos. I think I had to take off the biases of one bias of, well, if the Bills win, my Patriots get a home game if we win. And that thought of, well, the Broncos haven't been good recently, so they're the 1 seed, but they're not, an amazing. But no, they are a great team. Sure, it's very defensive focused, but I think we're going to see a great game from Bo Nix. I think he's going to spread the ball out. I think I have high hopes for Bo Nix here.
Man, if Josh Allen loses and the Bills don't make it again, and the Bills Mafia has the great Jim Kelly 4 straight Super Bowls, no wins, and Josh Allen doesn't make one, they might be like more heartbroken than Browns, Lions, Chargers. Like, that poor fan base. What the hell do they have to do?
Yeah.
And then the last game, Texans at Patriots. I'll lead this off because it's my Patriots. Looking at the game, you have two teams that I think had. I know that the Texans had the most turnovers and turnover-worthy plays. Patriots were close to second, if not second. It's going to be a good defensive team. Texans were great. What we have seen so far this season is players who have a concussion on a Sunday are not coming back the next week. And that plays a factor into Nico Collins not being I would lean into what has happened previously in the NFL this season, seeing concussion is more than a week to pass concussion protocol and play. That especially if the Texans do not have Nico Collins, I think while it is going to be a good defensive game, I think it's going to be very similar to Chargers Patriots. If anything, without Nico Collins, I think it'll be even a little more in the favor of Patriots, where it's a defensive game, but the Patriots, I think, will pull ahead a little earlier. And after seeing that first round game, I'm picking my Patriots to beat the Texans.
Well, you didn't reverse jinx yourself this time, so now you're fucked.
Yep,
it's over. Yeah, I'm taking the Patriots as well. I think you can shut down Woody Marks and Christian Kirk, and you're probably right. Nico Collins, he got carted off the field, right? Like, he was literally, you don't see that a lot for concussions. People getting fucking carted off the field for concussions. So I'm gonna take the Patriots. Pretty simple. I mean, if Nico was there, I'd still probably pick the Pats. We talked about it. They didn't play a tough schedule, but they're the 2 seed. It's in New England. I was, joking a little bit, but Ramondre Stevenson's on fucking fire, man. That is playing
He did great.
lights out, and Drake May is an MVP candidate for a reason. If they're getting it done, I'd be very, very surprised if the Texans win this game, despite them having a very good defense. I will say that I don't think it'll be a blowout. I think their defense alone will keep it to like a 7 to 10 point game. I don't think it's going to be. It'll probably come down to the fourth quarter, but I think the Patriots will just be pretty much in charge the whole way.
Yeah, I could see being like a 20 to 10 game going into 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they score a field goal to get it one score and fail the onside type of situation.
Yeah, that's. I think that's a very good outlook for it.
Less than that. I'm smashing the under. It's like 10-7 Patriots. I think the Patriots defense is better than the Steelers defense. And if CJ Stroud just keeps flicking the ball out of his hand, thinking like, oh, I'm safe to just let it go instead of getting a sack, it's going to be a long-ass night for Stroud. And both defenses are phenomenal, amazing coaches, amazing game plans. Both teams will be prepared, and it's going to be ugly, smash mouth NFL films football. But I got the Patriots in a very like 10-7, maybe even like 7-3, maybe even less than that.
Fair enough. So I think the two differences being I picked the 49ers and Brian picked the Bills.
Yep.
So that's a good thing to note that Brian could take the lead. I could tie. It's going to be a very interesting week to see. We'll kind of keep that record going forward. Again, we'll be here next week talking about all this, diving into it. Moving on to the next segment. Again, we really enjoyed on our end, at the very least, that wide receiver analysis that we did last week. And so I figured to kind of dive in and give you guys another one. And as I was kind of trying to figure out, okay, which wide receiver do I want to do this week? What do I want to do? I came across kind of a comparison I saw two very interesting wide receivers. I'm like, what do their per game stats line up to be? Because when you're talking about injuries or different things like that, when we're going to talk about tight ends here in a little bit, we're talking about points per game. So I'm going to give you 7 or 8 stats. And again, those who are listening, those who are following along, feel free to say your comments. We'll post them, include you in this discussion if you really want as well. But I'm going to this is the first time Brian and Patrick are seeing these blind comparisons. So I'm going to put it up, get their thoughts. I'm going to give you a little information about each player, and then we will do a reveal and kind of dive into it from there. So here is our initial. We have player 1, player 2. I've given you, again, per game stats. So targets per game, receptions, yards per reception, yards per route, depth of target, drop rates, and at final, since this is fantasy, PPR points per game. So I'll let you guys kind of take over and give me your initial thoughts, what you're looking at, what sticks out to you. I tried to give a good, well-rounded idea of these wide receivers.
My first ask would be, since you brought up injuries and points per game, did one of these players play a notable more amount of games than the other, or did they both play like somewhat similar?
Yeah, one played all of the entire season. The other missed 4, 5, 6 games. So it wasn't like I'm not giving you a wide receiver that only played 4 games.
Yeah, one of them's not Malik Neighbors. One of them played like 10, 11 games. Okay.
No, yeah. Both have a decent foundation to them.
Well, player 1 received the same amount of targets roughly, but he dropped about exactly 6% more. So he can't catch, or he was very unlucky. Get the bad hands. Who has bad hands?
You can try and figure it out if you want. This is an idea. This is who are you leaning one or the other, and then I'll give you a little more information about their age and kind of situation, so you can glean more on who you like.
Well, I mean, the only thing that is a big standout difference is the drop rate. Every other stat's the same. I mean, I guess I would lean the one that played the whole season and didn't miss 5 games, but we have no way to know that until the reveal.
Player two is the one who played more games.
Okay.
Very similar. The depth of target and yards per reception really favor player one. Granted, the drop rate is higher for player one, but almost 2 more yards per reception, a higher depth of targets. Yeah, I mean, it's very similar outside of kind of those 3 stats, but I wanted to include a well-rounded picture for
Sure.
all of them, which is why I included everything else.
And I apologize. Which one or two is the one that played the whole season?
Player 2 played the whole season. Player 1 played, I think it's, for this case, I did it as 10 games is what player 2 played. Player 1 played 10 games. Player 2 played the whole season.
Okay. I mean, I don't even really have much of a gut feeling to like make a guess on which one either is. So I feel like we should bring in some hints.
Sounds good. I'll give you guys a couple thoughts. Again, let's see. Player 1 is going into his 3rd year in the NFL. He is, so 3rd year, meaning turning 23-ish. I would say he's a strong dynasty asset that, as many going into the 3rd year, can be a very make or break year. Player 2 is a little older, going into his 4th year, but stayed in college. I think it was 5 years. So he's 25 going on 26. Both have very similar builds, a little heavier, a little taller.
My thought for player 1 was Collins, but we talked about him last week and he played more than 10 games.
Knowing player 1 is a little younger, less in the league, diving in, does that help kind of even things out a little, even with the drop rate? Or do you still kind of favor more player 2, some seeing that?
The drop rate thing's throwing me off just because that's not something I remember hearing about at all. That's not something that gets brought up a lot. Like, I mean, I guess if somebody drops a lot of balls, you'd hear about it, but I don't recall anybody this year being like, "Oh my God, this guy's dropping balls left and right."
It's I think it's 8 drops on the season. 5 drops. Sorry, I think eight is
One's Brian Thomas, one's T. Higgins. No, 2. One's Thomas, 2 is Higgins.
I was actually going to throw out Michael Wilson as one of them.
Okay.
Well, Michael Wilson obviously would be the one that played all year because
that would be player 2.
Whatever. Yeah. Just a guess, and like with his superhero performances in those 5 or 6 games, I think that probably brought his average back down into earth around like 12, 13 a game. So,
well, let's do a little reveal. I'll talk, and then I'll dive into. I have a 3rd comparison. But Brian, you were right.
Oh shit!
It was Marvin Harrison Jr. versus Michael Wilson. And I wanted to do this just as an idea of, I saw Michael Wilson. He's having a ton of hype going into this offseason. He really killed it from week 11 on. So I want to say, okay, season stats per game, how did they look? And then I have another slide of just Michael Wilson from week 11 on to see how amazing he did week 11 on, because that was absolutely phenomenal. But on a season per season, this last season, I did Marvin Harrison Jr. I did it over 10 games. So he technically played 12, but he got injured early in 2. So I took out the stats of those 2 games and just did a 10-game average for Marvin Harrison Jr. And what you see is Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. on the season had very similar stats. But when you're looking at the yards per reception, the depth of target, Marvin Harrison Jr., we saw and we talked about previously, they just oftentimes told him, go deep, figure it out. He had 5 drops on the season. Granted, because of that, because of his lower targets, but 5 drops is still up there. It doesn't seem like a lot, but the high on the season was 8, 9, 10 drops, and Devontae Adams was one of them. But this is just kind of, I want to do this to see, okay, Marvin Harrison Jr. is actually doing good on a per game basis. He just never really had the ability to get in stride with Brissett because of his injuries. And there's potentially he's going to do well this next season, depending on who their quarterback is, obviously. But also it's to show you that Michael Wilson actually, even if you look at his whole season, still did pretty good.
Yeah, I would also omit the games that Harrison played in those like tortilla jerseys with the weird helmet. Those don't count either. It just feels like a inept franchise doing poverty franchise things. Michael Wilson had a pretty solid rookie and sophomore year, and he should have been getting the ball more. And all it took was taking their first overall pick, Kyler Murray, out of the equation. Yikes. Like, Wilson he's legit. I really hope that the Cardinals can figure something out at quarterback. They're probably, I don't know, they can't go quarterback in the first round this year, can they? Unless Kyler's also
not the year to do that.
I'd like to add something, Patrick. It didn't just take removing their first overall pick, Kyler Murray. It also took removing their 4th overall pick, Marvin Harrison Jr., and bringing in whatever the fuck round Michael Wilson was and journeyman Jacoby Brissett. And then we set the all-time record for greatest tight end season ever and turned Michael Wilson into a fucking phenom in a half a season. It just gets you those super high picks. You know, that's a well-run organization if I've ever seen one.
So what we're saying is we lost our first overall pick quarterback, our 4th overall pick wide receiver, our starting running back, James Conner, our highly drafted running back, Trey Benson. Like, almost everything went wrong. And then we found success. Success, fantasy success.
Fantasy
success.
Yeah. And what's interesting is Michael Wilson and Marvin Harrison Jr. ran similar routes in the extent of slot snaps or wide out snaps and such. So, like, what gives me hope for Marvin Harrison Jr. next year is if they saw, okay, if we can game plan like this for Michael Wilson and do that for Marvin Harrison Jr., what can happen from that? So I have some hope there in that extent. When I looked at Michael Wilson in my wide receiver model, it was he with the 2 kind of presence tiers I have, the idea being is Michael Wilson is not a wide receiver who's going to be out there saying, hey, give me the ball. But when you focus him, he's going to do great things. And that's, I think, what we saw. And that's where the second stat line I want to come up is from week 11 on, here's what Michael Wilson averaged. 7 receptions per game with 97 yards, an immense 2.46 yards per route run, 14 yards per reception, 21.2 points per game, which on a points per game basis ties him with JSN as wide receiver 2 on the year. Like, what he did week 11 on was amazing. Granted, some of this, of course, is volume based.
In my
getting a lot more volume, but
628.
So while this was all going on, Trey McBride was also having the season of a lifetime.
Yeah.
So again, what the fuck, Kyler Murray? How did these 2, Wilson and Trey McBride, just go absolutely nuclear league winner? And with Kyler, they're mid. Trey McBride wasn't mid, but Trey McBride couldn't even get in the end zone with Kyler.
Yep.
Here we are. Just fucking A, man. Good for Michael Wilson. Good for everybody that picked him up off of waivers. I actually picked up Michael Wilson. My favorite Michael Wilson story is I picked him up off of waivers in one of my South Harmon leagues in the middle of the year. Somebody dropped him to make it an ad, and this is a big bench dynasty league. And I just happened to be the lucky guy that noticed he got dropped, and I put like a $45 or something like that fab bid on him. And it turned out I didn't need to. Like, no one noticed. Like, I could have gotten him for zero. And I remember even like making a comment in the chat that Wednesday morning, like, I guess I should have only bid $1 or something like that. But man, what a find.
Yeah. I mean,
Wilson's first 2 years total, he had 1,100 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's not a scrub. It's just inept football by the Cardinals. And you know what? Unfortunately, they're probably going to make the same mistakes. They're going to trade for Tua or some nonsense and just screw it all up all over it. They're going to improve the defense or improve the running game. No, don't do that. Don't do that. Give us this same chasing points all game, every game.
The good news for them, Michael Wilson has one more year in his contract, so they can figure things out, go there. I think there's some merit to Kyler Murray just couldn't see these guys well enough. Sure, they're 6'2", 6'3", McBride 6'4", but now that he wasn't as mobile post-injury, I think there's some merit to that. And it's going to be very interesting to see with Jacoby Brissett if he becomes the next, Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, where he gets a middle-sized contract from the Cardinals or someone else to start for them. I could see them, the Jets, Browns, depending on how they feel about Sanders with their new coach. Like, there's a couple places Brissett could go. That would be very interesting to see. But I think if he could stay here with Arizona, I think that spells good news for everyone, including Marvin Harrison Jr., because then they'll have that offseason to really connect. Because, again, we see season stats, Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, very similar. Could spell for a third-year breakout for Marvin Harrison Jr. I know a lot of people that are selling low on him. It's going to be very interesting. Good catch, Jay. We had a Jay comment posted, Brissett is under contract next year. So it doesn't matter. He's going to stay. So I think that's great news for all of these pass catchers, especially with the Cardinals do the right thing and bench or trade Murray.
Yeah, like Brissett's there regardless because of the contract. There is certainly a chance that they do make a trade or draft somebody. They have a higher draft pick. Not that the Cardinals are a smart or well-run organization, but I think the clear move for them would be to use that high pick on a fucking left tackle or something along those lines. Just build up, use all their draft picks on positions of need. Let Jacoby, already paid, run that ship. He was obviously good for the morale of McBride and Wilson, and he should be good for Harrison. And just let the new incoming coach know that, hey, we're just going to fucking ride it with Brissett this year. We don't expect you to make the fucking playoffs or anything. We can look into getting a quarterback in the 27 draft or whatever. I think that's the smart move. Now, if the Cardinals do something smart, that's a different story. But I think that's, granted, I'm just a dude that works for T-Mobile and loves fantasy football, so I'm not an NFL GM, but I just feel like that's the fucking power move that will get the Cardinals out of the basement.
Yeah,
I think the three of us could make better moves. I think the three of us could take the Cardinals to the second round of the playoffs. It can't be that hard. Come on.
Right.
Yeah.
Even though Brissett's under contract for one more year, goddamn Jameis Winston on the Cardinals would be sexy, wouldn't it?
That Jameis Winston on any of these teams like that with these strong wide receivers would be amazing.
I believe he's under contract too, though, so I think he's locked in.
I think we had a 1 year deal.
In reality, what the Cardinals need to do is trade their first overall pick just for a lot of money and invest that into workable stilts for Kyler Murray to see over the offensive line to get to these guys.
Put some scientists on it. Can we get stilts that you could actually play football in?
Yeah. What if they trade Murray and Harrison? Nah, that won't happen.
They wouldn't.
Maybe Murray.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do this once a week, talking about these interesting comparisons. If there's any one you want, let us know. Comments during the podcast or message the Fantasyholics page. But a lot of these guys, which are very interesting to know their value this offseason, Michael Wilson, Parker Washington, Brian Thomas Jr., Ladd McConkey, these guys will be coming guaranteed, plus some other very interesting ones too. In this case, this is a show. Michael Wilson, if he gets the targets, is going to be a strong asset potentially next year. Problem, the big question marks are: is he going to get the targets with Marvin Harrison Jr. coming back, and who is going to be his quarterback? Which obviously we don't have a crystal ball to tell you. But what we're saying is that he wasn't just good with Brissett and Marvin Harrison Jr. out; he was JSN good. So he has a higher ceiling, assuming that things can kind of go his way potentially. So, but we're going to dive into our positional review. So again, this week we're diving into tight ends, going into on a point per game basis, kind of an idea of your top 20 tight ends of how they did this last year, to give an idea of what we think of these tight ends, guys on the up and up, guys that are falling off, tier breaks. I know if you listen to us all the way back in last offseason, we're very low on tight ends in the extent of wins over replacement player, fantasy points over replacement player. Those type of stats tell you that tight end, even with a half point, 7.5 points, and in some cases a 1 point tight end premium, just aren't worth paying up for, unless you really need those extra few points in your competing team. Tight ends can get you very similar points, especially if you're running a best ball. And you can look at some of these lower end tight ends, just get 3 or 4 and kill it. So, but again, on a points per game basis, because players like Tucker Kraft got injured, Brock Bowers was injured, Laporta was injured, we wanted to give you an idea of how good these guys were on the season. With that in mind, what are your guys' first reactions seeing this list? Either tier breaks or guys that were high, low, and who you might be targeting next year?
My first thought seeing it is that obviously Trey McBride had a all-time for the records season. But that aside, I feel exactly the same about tight end, that after him, obviously, if you drafted Trey McBride or made a trade for him in a dynasty league at some point in the season, he helped you tremendously. He did fuck you in the second round of the playoffs, week 15.
Yep.
He gave you his only bad game, so one of my teams was eliminated in the second round of the playoffs because I could have used a couple extra points for McBride. But other than that, he was phenomenal. I mean, 4 points ahead of the field. I believe when you look at the overall points, he was literally 100 points ahead of the next tight end, the tight end too. So I say all that to say that tight end still kind of doesn't matter. If you weren't the 1 out of 12 or 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 14 teams that drafted McBride, you were just in this boat of maybe you had Bowers and he was cool for some weeks. His 14.7 average was boosted tremendously by like a fucking 40-point game, whatever week that was. You take that out, he was right in this pack of a bunch of 11-point and 10-point guys. Tyler Warren had a great start and then was useless in the back end. Harold Fannin was kind of useless in the front end and then good in the back end. Dallas Goedert was all touchdowns. Some good games, dud games. Laporta got hurt. Travis Kelce was actually pretty consistent, but he was getting you 11 points a game. Jake Ferguson was more in the front half, kind of useless in the back half. Hunter Henry did his thing where he gives you 5 or 6 good games a year. It's a shit show. Tucker Kraft was cool as hell. He was on fire early in the year. That's why he has that great average sitting at 2, but he was gone after, well, I don't know, a week he got hurt, but it was fairly early. So now you're back to playing the waivers and picking up Darren Wallers and shit. It's the shittiest position in fantasy. If you want to pay up and roll the dice and think you're picking the Trey McBride of 2026 next year, good on you. Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong, but maybe you pick Tucker Kraft after 2 games. It's I will still rarely bet on tight end and will always kind of be the last in my league to take one, and I stand firm by that, even with the incredible year by McBride. And I feel like this list shows you exactly why you should play tight end the way that I do.
Yeah, the running joke on social media for almost the entire year was thanks Bears for taking Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren, and the Colts social media and Colts fans are like, this is the best pick ever. How the turntables. Man, Loveland looks amazing. Warren's fallen off, but it's obviously quarterback related. As long as the Colts aren't starting a 44-year-old quarterback next year, Warren looked amazing. I can't believe the Colts caught him 11th. I would just, if I don't have Trey McBride, I'm just doing a re-roll on tight end every year with like a 2nd or 3rd round pick, because people hate tight end in redraft, startup, in rookie drafts. I mean, Gadsden looked amazing for a minute. The Chargers are like, Keenan Allen's retiring. There's no way he's hanging around. Quentin Johnson came back to earth. There's a lot of targets there. There's a lot of targets available. Darren Waller's probably done. Ertz is probably done. Dalton Kincaid. The Bills hate to throw. The Bills hate to throw to anybody but Shakir. Between injuries, I mean, George Kittle might be done. There's a lot of question marks. My biggest riser for my top 3 next year would be McBride, Kraft, Fannin looked amazing. David Njoku was discarded after 1 week. Those are I would take McBride like top end of the 2nd round. Kraft and Fannin. Other than that, Loveland's entering that mix. He'll be a tough person to pass on, but like these numbers show, it's McBride or Stream.
Yeah,
McBride or Stream.
I pulled up redraft ADP from last year to give an idea of where you could have gotten some of these guys. Where Tucker Kraft was a tight end 11 taken off the board around pick 107, which is the 7th, 8th round in a 12-team league. Loveland was at 12. Ferguson was at 15, tight end 15. Dallas Goedert was the 16th tight end taken off the board in like the 12th round. Kyle Pitts was later than him in the 13th round. I mean, you're talking about some of these that you could have drafted a top 10 tight end and not done well. Like the top 10 tight ends, obviously had Browers, McBride, Kittle, Laporta, who got injured but still did well when he didn't, Travis Kelce, who was good, Hawkinson, Andrews, Ingram, Warren fell off, and Njoku. I mean, John Smith was taken as the tight end 14. Zach Ertz was taken up there. Hunter Henry. It's something where you could have waited so long to get a serviceable tight end and have gotten so much better depth in other positions.
here's the other thing I wanted to bring up when I was talking about this whole list is none of these guys, after McBride, I guess after McBride and Kraft maybe, none of them were getting you 12 points a game or 11 points a game or 10 points a game. It wasn't like their weekly game log said 12, 12, 12, 11, 11, 11. It was dog shit, 2 touchdown game. 1 touchdown game, dog shit, dog shit. You were just hoping and praying every fucking week with all these guys. Yeah. Trey McBride, easy start. Tucker Kraft, easy start for whatever 7 games he played. Kittle, you obviously put in the lineup. Kittle wasn't even super consistent. Kittle had some dud games. Bowers, like I said, he had like a fucking 44-point game, or his average would look like dog shit. And then the whole list. It was fuck this position. I don't know. If you didn't have Trey, you felt exactly the same about tight end this year as we have for 20 fucking years of fantasy. It's just the stupidest position. A lot of leagues eliminate it. Stop spending up on it. Again, if you spent on McBride this year, great, congratulations, you hit the fucking lottery. Otherwise, you just went on the roller coaster like you do every year, so stop spending high draft capital on them.
Here's a question. So I'm going to take McBride, Bowers, Warren, and Loveland off the table for this question because this question should be an obvious yes for those. You made it to your dynasty semifinals or finals. You have the pick 1, 10, 11, 12. Obviously, McBride, Bowers, Warren, who was a first this last year, Loveland, who was a first-round pick this last year. You're going to send a first for those guys. Who else on this list for a tight end? Are you have the 110. You failed in your semis. You want a tight end to help secure the position. Who on this list are you sending your 110 to get a tight end for?
For me, the only players after the ones you subtracted that are close to worth a 110 are Harold Fannin and maybe Laporta.
Kraft, yeah.
I thought you took Kraft off the list.
You should have taken Kraft off.
Yeah, I didn't. But yeah, Kraft. So take Kraft off. Yeah.
So yeah, Fannin. I think Fannin showed enough that he's probably worth it. Laporta, I guess. Look at it like this: if Laporta and Fannin were in this draft pool, they'd be late first round picks probably. Other than that, I don't think any of them worth it. Maybe Pitts.
Yeah.
I'll just chill out though. Pitts had the fucking greatest tight end game of fantasy history in the playoffs, so and a decent like end of season run. He also was like the tight end 38 in the fantasy championship though, so let's not act like he won everybody a title just because of that one game. But he did turn it up this year. It was he did come to life. But to answer your question, pick 110, 111, maybe Fannin, maybe Laporta, but I'd still be hesitant for that.
I'm seeing a lot of people ask, should I send my first for Fannin, or is that enough for Fannin in this offseason right now? And so that's why I wanted to ask, what about you, Patrick?
If I had Fannin, I wouldn't move off of him for a low pick. Like, I have a solid, not shit replacement player at that position. No, I'm holding Fannin.
But you got cheap too.
Yeah, I want a little bit more than that. Like, if you're sending me 111, I want a fairly established player. Or I would say, well, give me your 2027 first or second. And I don't know if that person will budge. I know it's a year from now. Maybe they don't know how good the 2027 class might be. Maybe they're like, yeah, that's a decent. If I would be looking for 2027 picks for any legit tight end I may have.
Yeah. Because that's what I was looking at this list. I'm like, obviously the top 5, McBride, Kraft, Bowers, Warren, Loveland, you're sending a first for. And then I'm like, you want to send a first for Fannin with how he's done. But I think it's a situation with Fannin where the person who have him is going to want more than what you're willing to give up for a tight end, especially with how we're talking about. You could have had Jake Ferguson, who started strong, fell off some, but still would have given you very, very similar numbers. Juwan Johnson gave 1 less point per game. So, like, and you could have had him for Actually, Juwan Johnson was probably on waivers in some leagues. I picked him up off waivers in some leagues. So like Kincaid has fallen off hard. You might be able to get him cheap, and he might bounce back a little because he was injured a lot this season. It's a position where you're seeing some of the points of that's great, but giving up. Like I just a couple of my dynasty leagues turned over. It's a PPR league, 12 team. I got to trade immediately. Guy trying to sell me Laporta and me send him Breece Hall. And I'm looking at that. I'm like, Breece Hall is free agent. He might go somewhere great. I don't know if he's a free agent or his last contract, but he might move off. Move off the Jets, go somewhere better. Whereas Laporta is the third, fourth option. Like, I'm not sending my Breece Hall to get Laporta, even in PPR. Like, I want that upside of what Breece Hall might be. If it was a bigger tight end premium, maybe. But it's something where, a lot of these tight ends, what you're going to have to pay for them versus what points they're going to give you aren't necessarily worth it.
Allow me to muddle this a little bit more at the position that nobody likes, that we all hate. The best player not on this list is Terrence Ferguson. He looks awesome. He looks like the next George Kittle. The Rams love him. They've thrown his way a lot lately. And my favorite rookie, Kenyon Sadiq, looks really good too. He's not going to be a 2026 player, but if you could get, everybody hates tight end. You could get Sadiq maybe late second, third round pick in a rookie draft, and you could just magically overnight have the next Kraft or Fannin.
I had to look it up because it was kind of driving me nuts. Brock, in not even tight end premium, so just a regular PPR league, in week 9, he had 43 fantasy points. Wow. If you remove that, I'm not going to try to do the math in my head, but I'm quite sure if you remove a 43-point game from his season log, he probably plummets down to wide or tight end 10, 11-ish. Maybe even worse. I mean, that's a massive amount of his seasonal fantasy points. Here you go. He had 176 fantasy points. So what's the math on that? How many? What percentage of 176?
Which week? Week 9?
I think it said week 9. Let me see. Game log week 9. Yeah, week 9 versus Jacksonville.
I didn't think I had any bonus scoring. I have him at 67 points, not 40.
No, in regular PPR, he's 43. You are definitely looking at a league that has tight end premiums or bonus scoring.
Nope, there's absolutely no bonuses.
I just pulled up Fantasy Holics 2, which is one of the leagues that doesn't have tight end premium, and he had 43.
I'm confused too. There's no bonus scoring whatsoever in this league, and I have it at
12 for 127 and 3. Do the math on it. That's 12, that's 24. And how many is 3 touchdowns? Another 24, right?
No, 3 touchdowns is 18. 6, and 6.
Okay, so then 12 catches, 127 yards. That's 24 and 24.
Yeah.
Or 24 and then 18. What's 24 and 18?
Yeah, it's 42-7. I don't know why mine says 63.
Right.
That's so weird.
So, like I said, 43 points, though, in a regular PPR league is remarkable. And if you remove that game, Brock Bowers was right down here. Mix of bullshit with all these 11-point, 10-point per game guys.
Puts them under Goddard at points per game.
There you go.
Which Patrick, which rookie tight end were you saying maybe late second, early third that you really liked?
Kenyon Sadiq, but I think someone in the comments called me out.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about another one. Zach's talking. Sadiq is a first round pick in a lot of mocks. I mean, I think there's some
Who the hell is taking a tight end in the first round? Look at this.
When you're talking about the overall draft board for the NFL teams, there are people that have him as a top 10 talent.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm not the only one on the bandwagon.
Yeah. No, I think Mel Kiper has him as his number one coming out. Like, it's
Mel Kiper, shut up. Jesus
Wow.
Christ.
He also thought Shedeur Sanders was really good.
Yeah. Take his with a grain of salt. Well, take his QB takes with a grain of salt.
Right?
Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I don't think I would take another tight end in the first round unless I really think that there's a big talent that I miss, or it's like in this 26th class, a late first might be a mid second in other classes, depending on how things shake out. I know a lot of people are saying that right now. I'm waiting till the NFL draft to know to say that, because we said that last year, and then all of a sudden you had Igbuka in the late first that you could get, and Birded in the second. Like, there's still gems, there's still picks. These picks aren't useless. They're still worthwhile to have. But yeah, it's gonna, like, so someone like Sadiq going in the late first might very well be worth it depending on the league, just because of the value that you'll get out of that first as opposed to something else.
Real fun idea. Just on here. You start up a Twitter, an Instagram, and a Facebook account called Mel Kiper's Haircut. You only make the profile pictures just like from the forehead up. So it's just Mel Kiper's haircut. And every time he posts something, you just make like an exaggerated, more dramatic like take on it. And just mimic everything he says going forward. I feel like those accounts would skyrocket in popularity.
Anytime he posts a picture, you have to crop the picture so it's the person's forehead upwards too.
So you're only talking about people's haircuts. Then it's Mel Kiper's haircut, talking about other people's haircuts, but it's like still his actual take on them, and you just kind of juice it up a little bit. I don't know. Like I said, these beautiful ideas just come to me sometimes, and we should work on that.
I like it.
Yeah, there's a fake Stephen A. Smith, fake Mel Kiper. That I need like a fake hair Mel Kiper.
Same concept, but it's the page called Mel Kiper's Haircut, and it's just more or less just saying what he thinks, but funnier.
I like it.
Mel Kiper is like Christmas decorations. You take him down out of the attic for 2 months out of the year, and he's just irrelevant the rest of the year.
What is Mel Kiper up to in August?
Melting in the attic. Who knows?
Yeah.
Oh man,
awesome.
Good time.
Other thoughts? I think that was a great set of everything we talked about. The playoffs, the wide receivers, these tight ends. We'll be diving into another positional group next week. Again, with the playoff brackets being small and smaller, we'll be talking about that less and less, which is why we did tight ends first, because that's going to be the position we'll talk about least, just because of the impact of the position. We'll be really diving into the other positions a little more, especially as the playoff bracket shrinks. Well, more time to really dive in and see what we think about all these other positions in a year-end review.
I think last little dart I'll throw at the tight end thing here is I think Trey McBride is basically a fucking lock to be a disappointment next year, because he's going to end up being like the 12th overall pick.
Like Brock Bowers.
There you go.
The player that finishes first at their position never repeats. I don't know who the tight end next year is, because
tell that to Antonio Brown, who finished as wide receiver 1 3 years in a row.
For non-CTE, Antonio Brown was one of the funnest players ever.
I think Travis Kelce had a couple years back to back. He might not have been one, but he was like 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 1 for like a 5-year run there.
I think I still had some back to, like that. No, Travis Kelce 2, 4, 5.
I got it in front of me.
5 years in a row was tight end 1, and then 6 of 7 years was tight end 1, and then went tight end 3, 5, and 3 on a overall points, not a points per game.
God. In PPR overall, he went 1, 2, 3, 4. He had 5 consecutive years as 1 overall.
Yeah,
fucking wild. And he played like 15 or 16 games all those years.
So there's a chance that's also the saying that the tight end position has a lower top end or amount of players who can hit that top end, and McBride might still hit that. But also, even if he's tight end 1, that doesn't necessarily mean he's worth a
first pick or whatever.
first round pick too. So it's going to be
that
very
was also. I'm pretty sure that was like literally all with Patrick Mahomes in an offense where he was like the focal point of, and him and Tyreek or whatever the case.
No. Mahomes came and started in 18 and
He had a year
Kelsey
or
with
two
16,
with Smith.
17.
Okay, so
So it was very, very close. Once Mahomes came in, and it didn't matter anymore.
Kept it going, right?
Yep.
But yeah, that's obviously Travis Kelce is not the normal. He's the exception to the rule. So I definitely throw it out there that McBride is almost a lock to be a bust with how high he will be drafted next year. The team that got beat up by him next year and had a shitty tight end is going to go, you know what, this year I'm going to go ahead and draft Trey McBride high and not have to worry about tight end. And as we were saying, we don't know what the fucking quarterback situation is. Hopefully it's Brissett. We don't know. Maybe they draft a rookie. Maybe they bring Kyler back. I'm not touching McBride and fucking redraft next year.
Yeah, unless you expect McBride to have a career that puts him in a top 3 tight end conversation like Kelsey. He's one as a safe bet to fade next year and where he will be drafted for sure.
Yeah, man. I'm with it.
Awesome. Yeah. Expect the same thing next week. Playoff bracket, diving into winners, keeping track of the record. We'll dive into another wide receiver comparison of some sorts to give an idea of what to expect. Either, again, one who did really well to see if that's going to continue, or one who did nothing to see if they might have some spark of hope. And then dive into another positional group review.
Sounds good, boys. Thanks for tuning in, gang. We will see you next Tuesday. Go Bills. Keep me on top of that.
Go Patriots.
Have a great weekend. Thanks for tuning in.